This is Mike Edwards, and welcome to the Asset Optics Quick Start Learning Series. In today's session, we're going to cover stock item purchasing. We have two learning objectives for today's session. The first is for you to understand how to create a stock item purchase order, and secondly, how to receive parts into inventory from a purchase order. When you create a purchase order, you'll add a vendor, you will add a storeroom, or optionally directly enter the shipping address, and then you will add PO part line items. Second, we'll receive a part into inventory from the purchase order, having looked at two approaches to do this. The first will be to perform a partial receipt, and that is whenever you are receiving less than the order quantity. And second is to receive a full line receipt, that is when the receipt quantity is equal to the order quantity. So first we'll go and we'll click on the Purchase Orders tab, click on the New Command button, and we will select the order record type. Now you may have optionally selected requisition and routed it for an approval, but we will discuss approval processes at a later point in time. I'll click Continue. The purchase order contains a blank description, and in this case we're just going to go ahead and just put belts for repair. We will select the vendor. We're going to select the Granger Norcross branch. The order date automatically is populated. You may optionally specify a buyer, and of course you may select a storeroom. You may enter the shipping address, that is your address to where you would like the part shipped, or you may select a storeroom, and when you save the record, the shipping address will be automatically populated from the storeroom address. Let's click Save. Next, we will add PO part line items. Before we do that, we'll make a quick note of the purchase order status. It is an approved status. This is not a requisition that is routed for an approval, so it is implied that if you can create a purchase order, it is pre-approved. So to add a new stock line item, we're going to click New PO Part. Now, of course, we have to go look up a part, and these parts must be set up in advance. When I click up on the lookup icon, I can search for a part using the part ID, or I could search across all fields. Now I'm just going to say we're going to search across all fields for belt. We can see that there are many different belts, but we're going to just select this one here at the top, this 3L480 belt contained in storeroom number 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in an order quantity of 3. You may optionally put in a unit price. However, if you leave the unit price as 0, the price will be retrieved from the part record itself. I'm going to click Save, and then we can go back to the purchase order header. We're only going to add one line item under this purchase order, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to call the vendor, place the order either by printing and emailing or placing it over the phone, and then we're going to change the order status to released. All purchase orders must go through the released status once and only once. The validation rules built on the statuses control your ability to do that. So I'm going to click Save. This item is now on order. If we navigate to the part record setup and we scroll down into the part transactions, we can see right here that there's an order of 3 that was just placed on this date time. For this purchase order, this line item. We're going to go back to this purchase order. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to perform a partial receipt. So let's say that the supplier shipped you just one of these belts and you want to receive one into inventory. I click on the PO part line. It takes me to the detail page layout. I click on the Receive Parts command button, and then I put in the receipt quantity and save. Now I'm going to go all the way back out to the purchase order, just clicking on it in the recent items list. And I can, of course, see that my order quantity was 3, my received quantity was 1. So we still have 2 open, and we're going to receive that from the purchase order without drilling into the actual line item. Now please note this field called serialization control point. If this was a serialized item, then there would be a serialization control point specified. That serialization control point would either specify that you have to enter serial numbers at the time of inventory receipt or at the time of inventory issue. This is not a serialized item, thus it's blank. So let's say that we just want to receive the open quantity on the line in total. I can click here and say receive open quantity, and I will automatically create a receiving transaction for the remaining 2. If there were multiple line items on this purchase order, I could select them all and receive the open quantity. And you see the note here, PO parts received successfully. I save, and of course now this goes up to a received quantity of 3. I will point out that the purchase order status, we had manually progressed it to released. If you'll notice here, the current status is in progress. The in progress status was automatically updated when we performed our first receipt. Now that we've received everything, we're going to change the status to completed and save. We had 2 learning objectives. One was to create a stock item purchase order, and second, to learn how to receive a part into inventory from a purchase order. Please note that when you perform a receipt in inventory, you receive into the primary bin location. So if we go look at the part, we'll see that the on-hand quantity has been increased in the on-hand primary location. Thank you.